Okay. This is my next project. I kind of wanted to go ahead and make a video and update everybody on it. So I had that Chevy Cruze and I ended up trading it to a guy who just needed a nice, reliable car. And he had this project that he had been working on. And as you might be able to tell, he wasn't really prepared to deal with it, but he at least tried a little bit. Looks like he primered the hood. I've had it for a little while, and probably about a month or so. And I kind of wanted to, I've been wanting to do this for a while. So I had a Miata, it was an NA, and I've been wanting an NB for a while. And it needs work. It definitely needs work. And luckily for, as far as Miatas go, it's a pretty good option to out one. It's got the 6-speed transmission. This is an 02, and I'm still trying to learn the different like options packages. I know there were like special editions and stuff like that, and I don't really know exactly what body kit this is, if it was a factory one or I think it's a special edition. I don't know. But obviously this thing definitely needs to be fixed up, and it definitely needs to be painted. And that's kind of what I've been struggling with lately, is that between this car needing work and having already had some half-assed work done to it, and what I want to do with it, I'm kind of torn because of I don't know how to do body work, and you know, it's something I want to learn. I'm sure I could paint it, or I'm sure I could take it to someone and have them do body work and paint it, but this car, I need to pretty much take it one step at a time. Because what I'm planning on doing with this car is an engine swap that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. So when I got it, it had a style bar in the back. It obviously doesn't have a roll bar, so that's something else that I'm just kind of saving, trying to get to the point where I can save up money and be able to afford. You know, you've got sort of a sports car tax these days on pretty much everything that's fun. It's not like back in the day where you could go out and get a Miata for $2,000 because everybody thought it was a hairdresser's car, and whatever bullshit people thought back in the day. Now, even your worst condition NB Miatas are like 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 grand, whatever. Luckily, all this one needs is body work and new wheels and new headlights and a roll bar, and maybe someday when I win the lottery, a hard top. So I'm still kind of waiting to do anything to it for it to get warm. You know, we've had a couple of nice warm days so far, but I don't really want to start into the engine swap until I decide on whether or not I want to do the body work and paint it first, or do that afterwards. But either way, this thing's gonna need to be repainted, because I can't even go driving this thing without people screaming out the window at me, and it draws a lot of attention, and I don't like red. I never liked red cars, so I mean, if I get the whole thing repainted, or if I repaint it myself, it's gonna be a lot of work on top of what I'm already trying to do with the engine swap. So let's look at what we got right now. So it's got the 6-speed transmission. It's got the VVT engine, and I mean it starts up. It drives great. When I bought it, the radiator that's been over there for a while was cracked all along the top right here, so I got a new radiator in it. When I went to meet the guy to buy this car, he told me, you know, it was running great, it just needs some body work. He showed up, and when he as he drove the car up, he was like 10 or 15 minutes late because he could barely drive it there. So it was running on 3 cylinders, like horrible. You could hear it running on 3 cylinders. And he told me, he was like, yeah, there was some water dripping down into it. Like, I'm so sorry. And I really thought it was going to start up and run fine, and I must not have paid attention. And I probably shouldn't have done it, but I was like, you know what, we'll do the trade. It's fine. I want a project car. I want a project Miata. I'm not going to find another NB for even remotely affordable on my budget, at least not right now. So what I ended up doing, as soon as I bought it, it had a bunch of codes. I was like, I'm just gonna go. I didn't even have my code reader. I forgot my code reader at home. So I went to AutoZone, got them to let me do their stupid little scan tool where they print out what the code is. And it gave me a misfire code for cylinder 1. So I popped the hood and looked at it, and these aren't the original wires, or at least this. Yeah, I think I replaced all the wires on it. But this was like popped out. This first spark plug, it was popped out. So when I was like, okay, I pushed it back down, didn't change anything, so I pulled it out, and it was just full of water. So something had been running down in the shed or whatever he had this thing in, and it filled that with water. So while I was at that AutoZone, I pulled out the plug, bought a new plug, bought a new set of wires, and bought 1 new coil pack, and pulled the plug out, started it over, and it ran for a second. It's just shooting water out, and put a new plug in, put a new wire in it, and drove it home. And it was like a 3-hour drive from somewhere in Ohio. So, and it drives great. Like this engine it runs great. It's got, the car says it's got like 200 and something thousand miles. So I'm really impressed with how good the engine runs, all things considered. And at this point right now, I mean, other than a little bit of oil leaks and having to fix the radiator, it runs and drives great. So my plan for this one is to engine swap it with a Honda J Series V6. So there's a company called Minitech. They got a website called superfastminis.com, and they're known for doing Honda V6 swaps into Mini Coopers, like the old body style Mini Coopers. So I guess eventually they developed a kit for the Miatas, and I didn't know until after I purchased the kit that there's another company that also makes a kit that's supposedly a little bit better. But I've been slowly looking into what has to go into this kit, and I'm pretty happy with the quality of what I got for the Minitech swap kit. So a lot of people ask me, you know, why don't you LS swap it? So the first problem is an LS swap is, I don't know, $12,000, $14,000 minimum, and that's going the cheap route. Whereas the Minitech swap kit itself is around $5,000, and the engine itself, it was only $300 from a. You can get different Honda engines. There's a whole bunch of different versions of the J Series V6. Everybody wants the Acura 3.2 CL or TL Type S engine, and that's what I ended up getting. I found a swap, or I found a used engine out of a wrecker yard all the way in Chicago. So I took an entire day, drove all the way there, and ended up getting an engine for 300 bucks from this guy that had just been pulled out. It was running, and it was around 100,000 miles. So I've got it in a stand in the other garage. And so I need to start tearing that apart and at least doing the basic maintenance stuff that I want to do to it. Right now, I've decided I'm not going to do anything major as far as performance goes, because when I bought the J Series swap kit, I got the factory ECU and the wiring harness that had been modified to work with it, but that's not tunable. So later on, I'm going to buy the AEM ECU that's made for J Series swap engines, and I'm going to wire that in, and then that way I'll be able to tune it. And then at that point, I'm probably going to end up doing cams and just giving it a nice fresh tune, and that's about it. So with the J Series swap, it's a J32A2. It's supposed to make about 260 horsepower from the factory. And there are a few YouTube videos of those cars online. I've watched every one of them. It looks like it's going to be an awesome, fun car once it's done, because the J32 engine is within like 15 pounds of this engine as far as weight. And it's a very compact engine. It fits right down in here. And there's not an awful lot of major work that has to be done. I know realistically, other than figuring out how I'm going to route the wiring harness, the only other things I'm going to have to do are match up the Y pipe that came with the J Series V6 kit to I'm probably going to get a different exhaust system for this, but I might just use the factory one. And then I'm going to have to figure out coolant routing, vacuum routing, and there's a little bit of modification I'm going to have to do to the factory intake manifold to get it to work. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. It's going to be a major amount of work, but this will be the first engine swap I've done, and I'm pretty excited for it. I have to get rid of these wheels. They're god awful. They've got snow tires on them. So I ended up getting some factory wheels from an NA that need tires. They are smaller. Those are 14s. The one on it are 15s. But that'll just be to get it looking a little bit better. And then once I got a little bit of money saved up, I got to get rid of these headlights. I can't stand these headlights. They're terrible at night. They don't look good. They look like Fast and Furious, and I gotta get rid of them. Once that's done, I mean, it needs work for the rust in the rear quarters, and it needs paint. But I haven't decided if I'm gonna do the swap first or if I'm gonna paint it first, because I feel like taking it all the way apart would be a lot easier to paint it before I put the engine in it. But I have to figure out what to do with these back wheel wells, because they are just not very well done the way they are. And bodywork is one thing that bodywork and automatic transmissions are the two things, and diesel engines are the three things that I don't really know anything about. So hopefully it will be warming up pretty soon, and I'll be able to do a little bit more on this guy. I also kind of need to figure out if I'm going to do it in the other garage or if I'm going to do it in this garage, because this one needs work. We need to epoxy the floors. We need to clean it out. I've got a whole bunch of trash I need to go through and just kind of organize everything, and that seems like more of a spring cleaning project. But I just wanted to go ahead and show everybody what I'm working on and what I'm planning for the spring and summer, and hopefully you guys like this. I'm still planning on doing the MKZ Turbo install video on the Fusion Sport. I've got to get some time where it's nice outside, and I can probably end up driving this or one of my friend's cars to work for a little while, and that'll free me up from having to try to do the turbo swap all on one weekend. But yeah, so let me guys know what you think, and hopefully we'll get to starting this thing soon. Right now Billy's working on something in the garage. Let's go take a look at what he's doing. It is still so nasty out here. I can't wait till spring shows up and then summer. At least when I'm working in hot weather, I can actually enjoy myself. All right, let's see what Billy's doing. Oh, he can't hear us. What's Billy working on? Going through nuts and bolts?
What?
Nuts and bolts?
Yes.
Are you sorting nuts and bolts?
Well, the thing broke, and so I had to put them in here. These
Putting them in a bucket?
empty paint, yeah.
Cool.
I'm getting rid of things that are like too rusty to use and stuff like that.
Nice.
Like that one.
That one? Let me see that. That's my favorite bolt. Why are you getting rid of that?
I have to put you down sometimes.
You suck. Oh, you put lights up?
But some of them I have to more.
Oh my gosh. It looks fancy in here. Look at this. I can actually see. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys. So this is the swap kit. Sorry if it's hard to hear. It's freaking cold. So this is the swap kit from Minitech. So it comes with a harness, or you can buy the harness in ECU. That's what I bought. There's a lot of little options, but basically it ends up using like a Honda B series clutch, and they give you this nice big wide pipe that they made. This I bought extra. It's an intake manifold adapter for the throttle body. Underneath of it is the oil pan, and then you've got your adapter plate and your subframe. So, and then over here's our engine. Got it on a stand, and I've already kind of started looking at what I need to do, but I need to get working on it. So I don't know if I'm going to do the swap over there or over here. Probably makes more sense to do it over here. We got more space. This is where my engine lift is, and obviously we have a ton more lights now. So anyway. Sorry how loud it was. So yeah, just wanted to show you guys that. So that's an update on me. And I'm still trying to convince Billy to put some videos up. He's got a whole lot of stuff from when we worked on his Honda. I think it'd be cool to do a cold start video on this thing. It actually really needs it, because it's been sitting for well over a year, and I don't want the rings to be stuck too bad. So might do a cold start video on that. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned. All right, I want to try to get one good video of me driving this thing before I go ahead and park it, because I've decided to go ahead and start getting it ready. Mostly because I don't feel like it's going to be good enough quality for me to go anywhere during the summer, go to any car shows, none of that stuff, because it's just such a mess. I mean, it's somewhat embarrassing at this point, and I can't stand the wheels, I can't stand the headlights. So it'd be better for me to get, do one last good drive in it, and then park it in the other garage and start working on it. So yesterday I went ahead and ordered all the parts that I need for to work on that engine. Most of the parts. Hopefully we don't need a whole lot more, but this is also a good video to show that this car runs and drives, and that there's no issues with the engine. When I'm done, hopefully I'll be able to sell the engine for a little bit of money. But starts right up. The check engine light is for the secondary O2 sensor, pretty standard. I probably want to put the top up. It's got 203,000 miles. So I had to do a little bit of work on these. You probably can't see because I've got this thing in ultra wide screen, whatever. But I did work on these because they always seem to give people issues, and mine are very worn out. So there's like a fix kit, but that's what I bought, but they weren't exactly right, so I had to do a little bit of a modifying on how these two latches work. And then just because I'm always paranoid, I always try to make sure that they're absolutely 100% locked up in there. It's more so on this side. There we go, just like that. Alright, and I'm hoping that you guys can see pretty well. If the video doesn't turn out good, I mean, I'm probably not going to get another one, so let's take this thing for a quick little drive. And then when I bring it back, I will probably make some room in the garage to go ahead and park it in there. So the only thing is the throwout bearing is very much needing replaced, but I won't have to worry about that because I'm putting a completely different throwout bearing in it, a completely different clutch. It is making a lot of noise, so it needs some kind of work under there, but just go for a quick little drive. See, this is the part that sucks about our new place, is that we're on this dirt road, and every day is pretty much like driving on the moon, except on the moon the bumps aren't as harsh as they are here. Watch out, ducks. So yeah, I mean, this thing drives great, and I mean, it's a Miata, so like, it's got plenty of power for its size. It handles phenomenally well, even on factory springs with incorrectly sized tires that are actually snow tires on, you know, wheels that are probably not the best condition. I don't know, but what I like about it is that it's a 6-speed, so that's going to be something that's a little bit different. Most of the swaps that I've seen as far as the J series swap goes are done on 5-speed cars because those are the most commonly available cars. So I'm hoping the gearing works out pretty well, but I mean, she pulls pretty well. I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely got more power than my the NA that I had did. Of course, it's got the VVT engine and electronic ignition and all that stuff, so it ought to run a little bit better. But what I'm really surprised about with this car is just how well it rides. Like, I know that there's lots of, you know, bumps and the top rattles and all of that, but as far as comfort goes, part of it's the seats being leather, and part of it's just the factory suspension on this was very soft and very compliant, and that's why a lot of people go to like coilovers and stuff like that, which I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I honestly, I've kind of grown out of putting, you know, low ring springs and stiffer springs on cars, and a lot of cars, oh, let's see what she does. Yeah, it pulls good. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so a lot of cars nowadays, or a lot of cars that I've had, I've started leaving or going back to the factory suspension from whatever was in it when I bought it. And you know, I'm not I'm probably not gonna track this thing too much, but I might take it to an autocross or something, and if that's what happens, then I might either go with some very mild aftermarket springs and some better aftermarket shocks, or maybe coilovers. I don't know. That's so far out of my time frame, I'm not really worried about it. Right now, the main idea is to get this thing in the garage, get it up on jack stands, and at least start tearing it apart. So I was looking into it. You can buy rear quarters for this car for, I mean, they're cheap. They're like less than 150 bucks each. I mean, not counting shipping, but, and this thing hasn't been in a wreck. It's just got, you know, rust on both sides that was half-ass repaired. So what I'll probably end up doing, if I decide to do the bodywork myself, I'm not going to replace that whole quarter. I'll cut a section out on each side and tack weld it in there and replace it, and then that'll give me the opportunity to, you know, finish welding it up, Bondo it just a little bit, and then paint it. Or if I'm having, you know, a friend or something paint it, then I might do it that way. But this thing's great. It runs and drives so well. It's one of those things where you don't judge a book by its cover because of just how, I mean, it's terrible. I pulled that door panel off of there just because the clips were all broken, and I'm probably going to eventually go to some aftermarket door panels, because I like the aftermarket door panels. It gets rid of some stuff, gives you a little bit more room, and they're nice and simple. So yeah, it drives. It's a 6-speed. It's exactly the kind of, you know, cheap needs work deal that I've been looking for, and it's gonna give me a chance to do this swap. You know, whether or not it turns out good, you know, show car quality or something I would want to take to a car show, that's beyond me. I don't know exactly what level of quality I want to strive for on this thing, but at the very basic idea, I want this car to have a V6 and be significantly faster and more unique than most of the Miatas in the area. The interesting part with this thing that I've noticed, at least on the stock engine, is that half throttle is almost the same as full throttle. Like, it's not a massive difference in power, and maybe the throttle body, just because it's only a 1.8, maybe the throttle body is a little bit oversized, but you can drive this thing 50% all day and it feels great, and it'll push you back in the seat a little bit. It's got, you know, I don't know what these were supposed to have, 140 horsepower or whatever, but it's just such a light car, and you can really feel how light and how much smaller it is. And I'm surprised that there's as much room as there is. I mean, I've driven Mini Coopers. You get in, you know, like the R53 Mini Cooper, and you feel kind of cramped, whereas this one, it doesn't really feel cramped once you're in it. Getting into it kind of sucks, and having your leg hitting the door panels and stuff like that kind of sucks. But in general, it's not bad. Like, it's totally livable. I could take this thing on a road trip and not feel like it's you know, hard to live with. I know they make some aftermarket vents that I want to get, because these ones, they're notorious. They're notorious for, you know, falling down and stuff, and somebody puts some tape or something in here, but, you know, once it heats up, you can move this wherever you want pretty much. And I know that there's some other car, it's like a Jeep or something, that you can get some AC vent cups that just slide right in there and they work. So I'll either do that, or I'll make these gauge pods. I actually I've seen it a lot, the gauge pods that you get for like wideband and oil pressure and stuff like that. A lot of them just fit in there like pretty close. Like, they're like basically 2.5 or 2 1/8 or whatever size that is. So I might end up doing that, because I'm probably not gonna have air conditioning in this car. I'm not gonna be driving it in the winter, so
And the only thing I didn't buy for this kit from Minitech is that the adapters to adapt the AC. So I'm gonna have to get creative and come up with a different belt configuration, but that's not gonna be too awful hard. So I've been looking at the engine and kind of trying to see what all I need to do to it to get the J32, and it's not gonna be that bad. I'm excited to get it going. All right, one more time, and then I'm gonna take the camera off. So let's see how this thing does. So that's something that I need to be careful about. The detent for reverse is pretty easy to go past, and I've done that 3 or 4 times, and it's not good on those gears for me to try to stick it in reverse at 80 miles an hour. So that's something I'm gonna have to train myself to do a little bit more often, is to, before I go shift into 6th gear, I need to make sure that I'm not trying to hit reverse. The last thing I want to do is have to completely rebuild this transmission because I'm an idiot. But so far it doesn't seem like reverse has been hard to get into. So that was 80 miles an hour. I mean, this thing will run. When we bought it and drove it home, it drove 80 miles an hour the whole way back once I fixed it. It's just that when I first got it, it was, when I went to pick it up from the guy, I was running on 3 cylinders. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the camera. I appreciate everybody watching, and I hope you're looking forward to this as much as I am. God, that was some pretty ridiculous railroad tracks. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe. You know, show this to your friends. Put it on while you're at work for your cats. I don't give a shit. And I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.